Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 27 of Peaked in College. Great accomplishment, Craig. I mean, it's not a landmark milestone by any means, but it's, I think, officially older than both of us, right? Are you 27 yet?
I'm 27. Yep.
Damn. Yeah,
So
October 15th, you turn
next
27, right?
next week. Yep. Will
October
be
15th.
more than
Okay.
me.
So in March, we'll be the age of the podcast. So we'll have to just keep putting out episodes so we never catch that for me at least, because
Yeah.
you must be feeling old.
Yeah. I'm feeling really old right now.
Yeah. In life, reaching that, number 30 milestone is kind of a bad thing, but I would say for the podcasting era, reaching 30 episodes is a good accomplishment. We should pat ourselves on the back.
Yeah, for sure. It's been like 5 years,
Yeah, 30 episodes in
but
5 years. I mean, that's a decent ratio if you ask me.
we've already figured out details for next episode next week. So we're gonna do holiday stuff next week. But I definitely felt old because I'm not that excited for Christmas this year. Like it's just weighing
Damn.
down. And yeah, so I think that is the true sign of being old. It's like, dang, I got to do all this shopping and I'm just not excited about the buzz.
What stole your holiday cheer, dude?
I don't know, man, just a lot of logistics.
The stress of it,
Feel
like
like the
it's
Grinch,
it's
yeah.
it's definitely not the same as when you used to just wake up on Christmas morning and there was shit under the tree, like that was definitely better, but there's an element to there's a beauty to giving gifts, I would say. Like
For
once
sure.
you're finally able to afford presents for people, like when you're in like high school or middle school or whatever, you want to give like your siblings and your family and your parents like a gift, but like you're way too broke to do that.
Yeah.
Um, so that it's kind of nice to be able to have a job and be able to give people something, but I do agree it's way more stressful than it
But
was.
but I think it's interesting too, like as we get more money, getting gifts is like less fun too because I feel like when there's something I like really want or I need, like I just I buy it. Like obviously there are like,
Yeah.
things that I really want that I can't afford or whatever. But like, if I wanted like a pair of like Timberwolf socks, like I'm just gonna buy those, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's an
I could see it.
interesting
I could see you
juxtaposition.
itching to buy some Timberwolves socks. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is tough. Especially like we did. I had a good like list of Christmas ideas, and then like I have like Jackie's mom asking me for Christmas ideas, and then like I have my parents asking me for ideas. So I'm like, all right, who do I send what to? So like it worked out well for me this year because my parents were like, all right, we're gonna get you and Jackie a couple's gift. So like I couldn't
That's
ask them
nice.
for any of my like individual items that I wanted. So I just sent all those to Jackie's mom. So
Nice.
um but then like my siblings always decide to do like a sibling exchange. Do you do that like with your sister and brother at all
Yeah.
or
Yep.
yeah? But then like we always give each other ideas like way too late and decide on a budget like way too late and just like my parents pick the names way too late and then like it just causes stress and problems. My brother starts
Yeah.
yelling and it's terrible. It leads to like family therapy is what it should lead to instead of like fun and Christmas joy.
That's what I should give everyone in my family for Christmas. It's
Just
just
like a
family
couple
counseling
sessions like
sessions. Yeah.
BetterHelp.com coupons.
Yeah. Yes. We're not sponsored by BetterHelp, but maybe someday we will be.
Yeah. We still have no sponsors. It's kind of bullshit. We're 27 episodes in. I think people need to start hitting us up, but as of right now we're just self-funded at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe the goal for next year is to make it on someone's Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah, Spotify Wrapped will be nice. This ring light and this new laptop is not free, and I did it for the people. When my laptop died, I strongly considered not buying a new one, but I can't. I need it for the podcasting life, so I had to buy a new one.
The laptop's the one thing I'm not going to get it for Christmas, but that's going to be my big purchase the next year.
Yeah, I mean, you're always on your laptop working, grinding away,
Yeah.
like working from home and doing all that stuff. So,
Yeah. Well, I have a work one, but
oh,
for
they give you
personal, I
work one.
want
What
to,
kind of
yeah.
work computer do you have? Is it a Mac or a Windows?
Yeah, Windows.
What do you
So
prefer?
definitely Windows. I,
Really?
I I get the Mac stuff. You can do like a lot of creative stuff, but in terms of like what I use it for, like mostly coding, I need a little bit more processing power. And some coders are like really big into Macs, but like it's more complicated. You have to download other stuff, and like I use Excel all the time, and like I just hate the slightly different version of the Mac Excel. So that just drives me nuts.
Yeah, I get that. I feel like I've always heard that if you're like really good at computers and you're really like tech savvy, then you prefer like Android phones and like PC computers. Like they just
Yeah,
like can do more. I just like the simplicity of Macs. I think like they're sleek looking. They have
yeah,
long battery life. Like every PC that I've ever used, like the battery life is so terrible. Like we
yeah,
have we have work computers that we keep at work that like you can grab and like work from the floor or whatever and do whatever with your laptop. But I've like gone to like code strokes or like code blues with like my laptop trying to get like the patient information and stuff, and it takes like an hour to log in. So I just like end up having to just toss my laptop and try to find like a desktop somewhere, or like it dies by the time I log in. That's like how bad the battery is. So I
Yeah.
love like the battery of a Mac. I love the like simplicity. I feel like I could give it to my grandma and she could figure it out.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
And the
It is
iPhone too,
more
same
intuitive.
thing. Yeah. I got this like Samsung tablet like 10 years ago from 10 years is probably a stretch. I got it probably like 5 years ago at this point. It was at some like Hy-Vee work bowling Christmas party. So
Okay.
Christmas coming up made me think of this, but I have this like tablet that I just found like buried in my closet that I'm gonna start to try to use, but it's a Samsung and like I have no idea how to use it. Like it has like this thing, it just fades off and like shuts off after like 5 seconds of inactivity. So it's like I have to keep touching the screen. I need to figure out the setting of like how to keep it longer. But like
How old is
it,
this?
this tablet
Yeah.
is probably like 5 years old.
Wow.
Probably less than that, probably 3 or 4.
Remember when iPads were like the shit?
Yeah.
Like,
iPads were the shit. Yeah. I got Jackie's right here. I could start using this. Probably doesn't use it much anymore now that school is done.
yeah.
But she was one of those people that had the iPads and the little iPad pen and drawing like pretty notes and stuff,
I
you know?
hate, oh, that grinds my gears.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, those people were the worst. Jackie, just iPad people. I mean, I was sitting there just like not taking notes, and that's why I struggled, and she got better grades than me. But
All because of
what
the
can I say?
iPad.
I always thought it was hilarious when you like looked over at like a girl's notes next to you, and like they had like all this different colored pens and font, and it was like beautifully written, and then like mine was just like straight chicken scratch that I like never ended
So
up looking
ugly.
back and reading anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, for sure. I was not a good note taker.
And then sometimes they'd have like flowers, just doodling.
Yeah, I was a doodler though. I would do a lot of doodles, like those S things. You know what I'm talking about? You know the
I made
S's.
in like third grade. Yeah.
Yeah, those things were electric, no matter what grade you were. Okay, so sometimes I'm not the most creative guy ever, but since you already said your grinds my gears, which is people with iPads taking notes, do you have any other grinds my gears? I know that one was kind of just off the cuff.
I let me check my notes, but you go first if you have
Did
one.
you get some sort of sponsorship by Peloton? I see the Peloton hoodie that you got on. Did
No,
you
dude,
reach a certain milestone or something?
I'll do a bright bulb moment, dude. Peloton has the best apparel and Black Friday sale.
Oh yeah,
Like
why is that?
it's just insane. Like this was like $20. It's like the nicest hoodie I own. And they
That's
like
a
I bought
that's a good
like
deal.
a pair of shorts that are like $15, like really nice joggers that have like 3 pockets within one. Like it's literally the nicest pair of pants I own. It was like $20. It's insane. Next Black Friday, check out Peloton.
Did you have to have some sort of Peloton membership to get the access to the
No,
deals?
no, no, not at all.
Just anybody can access them. I didn't even know
Yeah,
Peloton had apparel, so that's news
yeah,
to me.
yeah. It's good stuff, and like a lot of their stuff is like partnered with other other brands, but it's super comfy. And it's kind of the only like athleisure wear I buy now because it's cheap and really nice.
I was gonna say, is it like some other brand that makes the actual product and then Peloton slaps like their logo on it?
Sometimes like they'll do a partnership with like Adidas or Lulu or I don't know. I don't know, but I don't know what this is.
That's
It
like
might
kind
just
of
be the
what that
Peloton.
Hulu kind of looks like, or that hoodie kind of looks like a Lulu hoodie, but
Yeah, this one's not, but
it's very
um,
comfortable.
yeah, super comfy.
Looks nice. It looks sharp. So I'm
Thank
proud of you
you.
for reading 100,000 miles on the Peloton.
Okay, we did just reach 500 rides, and I'm guessing 492 of that is Sophia.
Well, that's what gets you
So
those access to the deals, I bet. All those you're
yeah,
grinding out all those rides. So good job.
yeah,
Good job, Sophia, mainly.
yeah. What's your grinds my gears?
So I had to pull up the old notes app this morning to see what was on there, but I'm just gonna say might have said this on an episode before, but people that have no sense of urgency really grinds my gears.
Mm,
I mean, whether you're walking like in the hospital when I'm at work, or walking at the grocery store, or walking at Costco, like Costco makes my blood boil, by the way. But if you're like driving to work, you're like either running late to work, or you're running late to something, or you're in the drive-through somewhere, and people just have no sense of urgency, and they're just lagging around, just lackadaisical, just having a good time, or just walking slow, or they're on their phone, or that drives me nuts. Or like
yeah,
people at a red light when it turns green, they just sit there like they're either texting or something, and like I'm not a honker, but it makes me want to just slam on my horn. And then sometimes when I'm driving to work and I'm late and I'm just riding behind these people that are riding super slow, it just makes me want to scream.
I agree, 100%.
Good. I'm glad you agree, but that
Yeah,
grinds my
or
gears.
like when people are walking slow, like How do you not have something to do?
I know. Like, how do you
Like,
not have somewhere to go?
right.
Or get out of the way if you're just like smelling the flowers and looking at the dogs.
The drive-through thing is definitely irking for
Oh
sure.
yeah, when it's like crowded in a drive-through and then people like sit there and like leave like a massive gap and then all the cars move up except for the car in front of you, it like makes you want to scream. And you don't want to be
Yeah.
like that fat dude that's like slamming on the horn in the drive-through, like I can wait the extra 30 seconds realistically, but it does piss me off.
This did make me think of one grinds my gears that I encountered a couple weeks ago,
Let's hear it.
which it's when business hours online are not accurate.
Oh yeah, that's
Like
bullshit.
and most of the time it's like I feel like it's like 99% accurate, which maybe that's why it's just so frustrating. But like we live in it like the internet, like it's so easy to update that or like it just blows my mind that we can't have accurate hours online, especially when they already have it uploaded, you know. So
Yeah.
like I made specific plans to like go to a tailor and like get something hemmed and I checked online and I actually checked and it said it was open and then it wasn't. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's closed on Tuesdays. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna ask you like if there's a specific incident that really causes grinds my gears to come to the
yeah.
surface. But yeah, that's frustrating. That's really frustrating. We used to get like, so did you know like Google will call companies like in businesses and ask them if their hours have changed?
I did not know
Because when
that.
I worked for Hy-Vee, we would get calls from Google all the time, and they would be like, "This is a call from Google, inquiring about your hours." And like my boss would always just tell us to hang up. So she was probably part of the problem as to why like our hours won't get updated, but our hours never changed. So
Okay.
like these companies that are intentionally changing hours, like I feel like this was a real big problem during COVID. Like people would change, they're like
Yeah.
random days they'd be closed, and then you're just like, "What is going on?"
Well, I mean, COVID at least made a little sense because like I mean, places were closed a lot or like they just didn't
Yeah.
have the volume to like stay open, 7 days or whatever. So that makes a little more sense to me. But like now, like I know that for a fact that like that's not the issue with this particular business.
So this is not related related directly. Oh my God, that was troublesome coming out of my mouth. This is not related directly to your complaint, but it's kind of similar. So I've been on a quest to find like an excellent just like cheese or pepperoni pizza in the Omaha area. So I have this like pizza place back home that I just love. So we always used to get it like on Fridays after football games or whatever. Like after a long week, you just get to enjoy Classiana's pizza, right? So I was so excited to eat it. I'm trying to find a place out here in Omaha that tastes like somewhat similar. I just like that authentic Italian, not thin but relatively thin crust pizza. And I'm just trying these new spots. So there's this one place. We had this work email chain. It was like some team building thing where people had to like email their favorite pizza joints in Omaha and like what kind of pizzas they like specifically from there. So a lot of people had like complex pizzas, right? They would be like, "Oh, I like um Marco's, I'm looking at an ad right now for it. Marco's Supreme Pizza or something. So then I'll go to try Marco's and be like, all right, I'm gonna try a cheese or pepperoni at Marco's. It's like a simple thing. Um, then once I find a pizza place that I love their simple pizza, then I'll go from there and try one of these extravagant pizzas. Okay, but I'm starting small. I'm starting at the baseline. Anyways, long story short, we found this one place that multiple people recommended. So we tried to get it on like a Friday, and they close at 6 p.m. on a Friday night.
Wow.
What kind of place closes at 6 p.m. on a Friday night?
That's nuts, dude.
And I think they're like closed on Sundays and like barely open on Saturdays. So like we were trying to get it on Friday night, and I was just like, what world do we live in that a pizza place closes at 6 p.m.?
Yeah, you'd think that that's like the prime business time. Like,
Yeah, exactly. So they lost my business just by their hours alone.
wow. Dang, a lot of grumpy boys on Peaked on College or Peaked in College episode today.
Yeah, well, that's sometimes bullshit happens and you got to vent about it, and this is our place to
Yeah,
vent about it. So
it's true.
Um, let's see. So speaking of that, I'm not very creative, Craig. I don't know if you're not very creative either for
No,
my assessment of you. So, one of the ER nurses, shout out Corey Keating, she said she listens to the podcast now. She's played it openly in front of me a couple times to embarrass me, and it works. But she said, "When's the next episode coming out?" And I said, "We're actually recording tomorrow morning." She's like, what are the topics? And I was like, we never have topics. We don't prepare. We just like record and start talking. So I was like, do you have any topics you want us to discuss? And she rattled a couple off. So I was hoping we could talk about those in honor of Corey.
That's
So
really
first on the agenda is volleyball. So she wants to talk about volleyball. A lot of Nebraska Husker fans here in Omaha,
hmm
as you can imagine. Nebraska and Creighton were pretty solid at volleyball this year. Nebraska is the overall 1 seed, and they made it to the Final Four. So shout out Nebraska. Do not forget when you get to the Final Four, bump it. When in doubt, set it. And if you need to, spike it. And
I
that's
think
my
if you,
volleyball
I think
assessment.
you're gonna I think if you're in the final four, you're gonna need to spike it quite a bit.
So if they need a coach, I can step in because though I know a lot about bumping it, setting it, and spiking it.
So it's funny when you brought up this topic. We just chatted for 2 minutes before the show because I feel like I like actually have a little bit of an opinion on this.
Okay, that's great.
Because my family has had now season tickets to the Gopher volleyball team for like 7 years,
And they're
and
good, aren't they?
they are well. This year was pretty rough. They had a new coach. They underperformed like preseason expectations, but they made the tournament. They
Okay.
actually lost to Creighton in the second round. But I followed their team like fairly closely. And they got hot towards the end of the year, but they had a couple bad losses. Anyway, so my I've been following, D1 women's volleyball for a while, and at least like whenever I go home, my dad just talks about it. Like he just loves it. Like that's his thing. Like he doesn't hang out with people, but like he invites his friends to these volleyball games. It's just so funny.
I couldn't
Uh,
believe how much like middle-aged men are passionate about women's
Dude, it
college
is such an
volleyball.
interesting demographic.
Yeah,
Like it's
it really is.
um yeah, so that was a sad loss to Creighton, but that's good for your state, I guess. But then my other kind of connection, this is like Louisville has had a really good team historically,
Yeah,
and I used to live
Louisville
in
beat
Louisville.
Creighton.
Yes, but then yeah, but then lost to Pitt. So
Yeah,
definitely some heartbreak in my for me this year. And I got to go to two Gopher volleyball games this year, but I
nice.
think Nebraska's going to win it all. They get. I feel like they're just such a leg up on everyone with like their NIL money and stuff. And what they did with the stadium was super cool. Did you see that? Like how they set the
The
records they did
football
at the
stadium. Yeah,
football?
yeah,
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 that was cool.
yeah. That was cool. And then like Iowa women's basketball tried to do it, and it was kind of awkward. Like they put the basketball court on like one end of the field, and so
Yeah,
like some people were sitting like completely like 100 yards away from the action,
yeah. It's
which is
I mean
bizarre.
it's cool to do that stuff, but yeah, it's I feel like it's not a great viewing experience. But
Yeah, the
yeah,
volleyball is pretty sick. Yeah, I'm looking at the bracket right now. So your Gophers were 16 and 12 this year, and
yeah.
everyone, all the lower seeds have a number next to them, like what their seeding is, and Minnesota doesn't have a number next to it. But what does that break down to? Is it a 14 that plays a three
I
in
think
like
so.
men's basketball? Is
Yeah,
it
well,
15 versus two and 14 versus three?
yeah,
So it must have been a
yep,
14 seed.
yep.
Creighton was
And
a three.
I think the Gophers finished, I think, fifth in the Big Ten. I think so. That's why they were unseeded. Is There's just the Big Ten is always pretty stacked in volleyball. So
Do you think there's
Wisconsin and
a
Nebraska.
Do you think there's a problem with chalk in women's basketball in today's era? Because we got number one Nebraska, number one Pitt, number two Texas versus number one Wisconsin. Do you think we have a chalk issue in women's college
Yeah,
volleyball?
I think the best teams are way better than other teams.
Why is that? They just have like monster girls that just hit it harder and jump higher.
I think from what my dad said is like there's like a few programs, I think like Texas, Wisconsin, and Nebraska that just like put a ton of money into it. I don't think it's a super, you know, profitable sport, right? For most schools. And so it just doesn't have the resources. But then the few schools that do, whether that's like alumni donations or, whatever, like I think they're able just to get the best of the best then, and everyone goes there.
That's cool. Yeah, I get that.
It,
Um,
and I think the Gopher volleyball head coach, I think maybe he's now the AD or something, or he took a different job and he might be coaching Olympic team. I forget. Like he was, I think, the second highest paid coach at the University of Minnesota for some time, I think. Second or
Damn,
third. So like, and I mean, they were good, really good under him. And so I think like, the programs that develop those resources do have a leg up.
it's like Jenny Baranchak.
Right.
she was head and shoulders above every other coach probably at Drake at the time, and
Right.
now she's at Oklahoma. So sometimes you move on to greener pastures.
Yeah.
I do have a good volleyball story, surprisingly, which made me think of this when we started talking about it. So thanks, Corey. When I was a kid, I was really good friends with this family called the Ringelbergs, and their aunt was the head coach of the volleyball team at University of Wisconsin Milwaukee, so UWM. So
Hmm.
she hosted a little volleyball a little volleyball what the hell is the term? Camp. Okay, it was a little volleyball camp. So it'll be all these young kids around. It was mostly females, but like my parents and the Ringelbergs' parents made us do this volleyball camp. So it was mostly girls, and then it was us. So like we didn't have no interest in volleyball. We didn't know any of the rules, but we were there to support their aunt. Okay, so anyways, long story short, my attention span was like that of a squirrel. I was just like setting it like spiking the ball all over the place, just bumping it like way out of like I could not get dialed in. Like once I progressed as an adult and played intramural volleyball, I was decent. I'm still really short, so I wasn't like a big like spiker or anything like that or protector of the net, but I could figure it out. Like I'm a decent athlete, right? So it's like a sport that you can figure out if you're playing against like other mediocre volleyball players. But at this camp, I was just so bored. I didn't understand the game. The ball is so light and just makes you want to just hit it so hard. So I ended up getting kicked out of the camp for kicking the ball. I was punting the ball around the gym. So it didn't last very long. It was a short-lived camp for me, but I had a good time. It was fun while it lasted, and nothing feels better than just punting a ball as hard as you can.
Were you like just were you flirting with girls back then?
Oh
Like,
yeah, I mean of
was
course.
that
Like, yeah. Ever since like probably third grade, I knew that girls didn't have cooties, and I was all on board. So I was trying them, and
okay?
we were surrounded by them. I mean, it was like heaven for a horny little fifth grader.
Yeah, I was curious if you had hit that age yet or not. So
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember specifically, but I'm sure I was probably trying to impress somebody by punting the ball around,
okay,
and it didn't impress anybody when I got kicked out.
yeah, that's how it goes.
So I'm sorry.
Tough break.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wish I remembered their name. I would apologize right now on live on Peakton College, but I don't remember your name. I'm sorry. The Ringelberg's aunt. I apologize.
I feel like if you get an apology from David Wood, I feel like that's heartfelt.
Yeah, I feel guilty about it to this day. I wish I wasn't punting it around. I should have respected the sport more. As an adult now, I can look back and say I was just a uh, idiot little moron, little fifth grader, or whatever I was at the time. So I wish I would have respected it more. I also got kicked out of a tennis camp
I knew
thing. I think
that
I've told that
you
story.
you
Yeah,
you
with the
spit on the
spitting on the
court, right?
court.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I don't really apologize for that one. I think it's a bullshit rule. If you're playing a sport outside, you should be able to spit. So I disagree with that one, and I hated the coach. So my dad just forced me to do tennis because he used to play tennis, I guess, and my mom was a college tennis player. So I didn't like tennis. They forced me to play tennis. Getting kicked out was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, except for the beating that it took when I got home that day.
I had no idea that your mom was such an athlete. What
It was
happened
gonna
to
be
you?
it was gonna be something that I was gonna hide from my parents when I got kicked out of tennis. I was just gonna keep showing up every day to tennis, but not physically go into tennis because it was at like this place where we had like a pool, tennis courts, concession stands, whatever, tables. So I was gonna ride my bike over there every single day at the same time, chill out, hang out for a little bit, come back and just say, yeah, tennis was good today. But that scumbag tennis coach called my dad the second I got kicked out and told him about it. So I got home and he already knew, so I couldn't hide anything from him.
No, that's hilarious.
So. I think those are the only two things I got kicked out of, except for like a couple intramural basketball games here and there. I got a couple technicals and maybe an ejection.
That's funny.
I
Definitely
realized
did.
I was too competitive to play non-competitive intramural sports in college.
Did you actually get ejected in an intramural game?
Yeah, I think one non-competitive intramural game, which is even worse than getting ejected in a
Was
regular
was it
intramural game.
basketball?
Yeah, basketball. Yeah, I played with like my fraternity one game, and I was just way too competitive, and like everybody around me did not care, and it just pissed me off. And I think like I was talking shit to the ref, got a technical, kept talking shit. They threw me out.
That's hilarious. I kind of want to know who was ref in that game. I for the listeners, I used to ref like college intramurals a little bit, so I
It might have
definitely did a
been
couple of David's games.
it wasn't one of the good ones. It was one of
Yeah.
like the it was one of the girls that ended up being like a boss. She was like a manager at some point. I don't know. I
Hmm.
don't remember her name, but it wasn't like Soman. It wasn't that guy with Trevor. It
Nirvan,
wasn't Trevor. It wasn't Nirvan. It wasn't who's the other dude? The blonde dude.
Sam.
Yeah, Sam. Who was a
He
good
does
ref.
like college games now, I think.
Yeah, like
He's
there was
like a
like
legit, really good
they had
ref.
some good refs, and this ref was
Yeah.
terrible. And it just I don't know. Looking back, like I had a lot of probably anger management problems that I needed to get resolved. But this podcast helps me kind of vent and get things out. So
Yeah, it's
this is
good.
my better help.
Well, I'm already feeling better. Like I think by the time we do our holiday episode next week, I'll be cheery.
Yeah. So we'll wrap things up here. Talk about maybe one or two more quick things, and then we'll call it. I
Let's
know you
do
want
it.
to talk about the Final Four, the bowl games, college football. They come New Year's Day, I believe. Is it New Year's Eve or New Year's Day?
I, I don't know.
Let's
I
say New
get it
Year's Day.
mixed up.
I think they're New Year's
Okay.
Day. We have number one seed Michigan playing the number four seed Alabama, just squeaking in the Rose Bowl. And then we have the number two seed Washington, undefeated, playing the number three seed Texas in the All-State Sugar Bowl. So, initially, what are your thoughts on those four teams getting in, and what are your quick thoughts on the matchups?
So I'm not super attached to like college football. So I don't know. I think it's a really interesting like discourse about like who should have gotten in and different like arguments because I do think it's kind of fun that there's not a right answer. Um, I I think I think that I believe that they should try and put the four best teams in, and to me that would have been um, Georgia over Texas would have
Georgia
been
over
my take.
Texas.
That would have been. I think that Michigan and Washington deserved it, and then I think Bama and Georgia the next. I think our top four teams.
But how do you put my argument, counter argument to that is how do you put Georgia in and Alabama in because they beat Georgia, right? You can't put Georgia in without putting Alabama in because Alabama beat Georgia.
But
Is
see,
that
I kind of think that like the whole like head to head thing is stupid because you're like docking Georgia for losing a game, which is fair. But then like Alabama lost a game, so in theory, if Alabama is a really good team, why are we docking Georgia for losing to a really good team? Alabama lost to a team that's not as good as Bama. So like when we do the head to head stuff, I think you're double counting like how much that means. Like I think head to head doesn't matter. Like if you're gonna lose a game, you want it to be to a team that's in the top four. That in theory, that's right, the best loss you could have.
Yeah, so that's the problem. Out of those four teams, then if it, like I don't disagree with you, I think Georgia could have made the Final Four like off of like qualifications and being one of the
Yeah,
best four teams. But then who do you bump out? Washington.
I think Texas.
But the problem is with that is if you're going to put Georgia and Bama in, Texas beat Alabama at Alabama.
But that's the thing is like I think that I just think Bama's better. Like, but anyways, I think we're getting the details, and that's good. I think that this was better than letting Florida State in. I think this was like good. I just think that Bama and Georgia are better than Texas. But like I get that that's probably not a super consensus view. But I do not think that Florida State should have gotten in.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, Florida State definitely should not have gotten in. I felt really bad for them. Like there's like you can feel bad for a team, but at the same time you need to be able to like rub your eyes and say, okay, I'm gonna look at the best four teams, and Florida State is not one of those teams when I
no,
open my
no.
eyes because
Yeah,
obviously well maybe if Jordan Travis was healthy, then they should have belonged in. But when he got injured, I mean, and you can't penalize like the defense and like the running backs and receivers for the quarterback getting injured, but in today's like college football landscape and even in the NFL, the quarterback's the most important position. He goes down. Their points per game, like in those last couple games, cut like in half.
yeah,
Their scoring, their point differential, like so. If you just look at like metrics alone, they just don't belong
yeah,
in
yeah. Like they were barely favorites over Louisville, I think, and like
there. Yeah,
like
barely
it's just
won. Like they barely squeaked it
yeah,
out. Like
yeah.
that's
I think we're
that's the
mostly in
problem.
agreement. So
Yeah,
were you glad Texas made it? Like, do you think they got it right?
I think they got it right. I had predicted it beforehand. I felt bad for Georgia because I think Georgia is one of the best teams. They're coming off of like 28 game win streak that had two national championships sandwiched in there. So I felt bad for them. But I think Alabama deserved to get in by beating them in like a neutral site in the SEC championship game, and they beat them like relatively handedly. And then if you're going to put Alabama in, you can't not put Texas in, who beat Alabama on the road, which is like a huge win for them. So Alabama or Texas had a really good season. They had one loss that they lost to Oklahoma that they probably could have won that game too in the Red River Showdown. So I think they got it right. I think they got the seeding perfect. I think the Michigan Bama matchup is going to be great. I think the Washington Texas matchup is going to be great. I think it's going to be an amazing playoffs, and I'm even more excited that next year it's expanded to 12 teams.
What's your prediction?
My prediction is Bama over Michigan,
Okay.
Texas over Washington,
Mm,
and then Alabama in the rematch against Texas.
okay, that's fun. That's fun.
Which sucks because I hate Alabama, but I also don't want to see Michigan win. So I would like, and I also don't want to see Washington win because I'm a huge Ducks fan. So my
Yep.
team that I'm rooting for is Texas to win it all. But I don't think
Okay.
if Texas plays Bama or Michigan, they're going to be able to win that game. I think Michigan and Alabama are just tougher than them.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm take. I think if I was betting, which I'm not, but I think I pick Washington
Think so?
over. Oh yeah, and over Texas at least, and then I don't know that.
I just think
I,
Texas is bigger, faster, stronger. I mean, I think Washington is a flawed team, and
yeah,
that's what disappoints me that Oregon lost to them twice because I feel like Oregon was just like a better team, and they just ended up like not playing well against Washington. Washington played like the game of their life against Oregon. So maybe Oregon like plays to their or maybe Washington plays to their competition because like they had a couple really close games against like some bad teams, like Arizona State they almost lost to, Colorado they like were kind of close to, Stanford like these shitty teams that they should have been blowing out they didn't. So maybe they like play to their opponent. Maybe they'll play like incredible against Texas, but we'll see.
here's what we'll do next episode. We will make some kind of bet. We'll come up with a point system for making some picks, and then loser will have to do something on stream.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I agree.
I think this is a fun like college football play. Like there's 3 games, and we can do a way to to make it so it's competitive.
Yeah. Okay.
And
That
we
sounds
clearly
good.
have some different opinions. So
Yeah, that's good. All right, I'm down.
cool. And then I probably got to wrap here, but maybe we can kick off next episode with some Swift talk.
Yeah, maybe we'll start the Christmas episode with a little Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey relationship. Corey wanted us to touch on that. Sorry, Corey, you have to wait till next episode. But nothing puts you in the Christmas spirit like a little bit of romance. So hopefully those two are still together at the time. I think they just went to a little Christmas market last night. I saw their stupid ass picture all over Twitter. And then we can talk about Patrick Mahomes. Uh, and my question that I want people to leave this episode on and think about until the next episode comes out is Patrick Mahomes bad for the children? So, he's out here, he's pouting, he's crying, he's whining, he's screaming at the refs, he's pouting in his press conferences. Is he bad for all the kids that are inevitably watching him as a role model? So just ask yourself that and wait till this next episode to maybe hear our thoughts on that topic.
Yeah, I can't wait to draw some parallels between Patrick Mahomes and your behavior at volleyball and tennis camp.
Yeah, well, no one was sitting on the sideline watching me and my behaviors as a fifth grader and then as a college kid playing intramural sports. So
We'll
people are
see.
watching Patrick Mahomes. Is he bad for the children? You got to
Okay.
ask the question. You got to ask.
Well, we'll do it next week then.
Okay. Craig, thanks for making time for me. I know you're a very busy guy. Thank you all for listening to episode 27. You made it to the end. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. Thanks, Corey Keating, for the ideas to keep us rolling through this episode. I'm going to ask you for some more ideas for the Christmas episode, but looking forward to it. Let us know in the comments what you want us to talk about on the next episode. Craig, any last thoughts?
I think that's all, everyone. Enjoy your week until you hear from us again soon.
All righty. Have a good
All
one,
right.
Craig.
Peace out.